Welcome to the 8th episode of Blood and Talkness, a Hades speedrunning podcast set in a nightmare world where I, Risk13, never write an outro, and in fact do it completely blind and impromptu, causing the end of the show to go 5 minutes longer than it has to. I'm Risk13, and I am not paid to do any of this.
I'm SatanIsAChillGuy, and I am paid to do all of this.
I'm Webstudy, and I'm just happy to be here.
And our guest, who certainly isn't getting paid and may actually lose something much more valuable than money from this whole experience, is GuardianRoborn. How are you doing, Guardian?
You know, I'm surprised you guys are willing to tank your podcast by having me on, but I'm very happy to be here.
Our podcast has already tanked due to previous guests. I don't think... you're always welcome to impress us, but I'm not sure
okay, then you're the one who's going to be disappointed. Yeah, you will be disappointed.
Will we be disappointed in how degenerate you are or degenerate you're not?
Only one way to find out, buddy.
God. Thank you. All right. And also, Webbs is playing Hades, but the modded version.
Hongies. Actually,
the real
Hades this
modded
time.
version.
The good Hades.
And I guess that's a good jumping off point to...
Speaking of mods.
Speaking of X, why?
Shut! God damn it! We were gonna. I was like, okay, we're gonna make it. It's like when I play Hades, I'm like, okay, we're not gonna drop like dash inputs or anything. We're gonna do like a nice clean run. You know, I was like, we're not gonna do a speaking of X. Here's why, and you guys just open up with it.
Well,
No,
it still
don't
counts
worry.
as speaking as X. Here's why. Even if you just rephrase it, it's still the same idea.
Mhm.
No, I have a good
Yeah.
one planned. I have a good one planned for later. We'll get an actual segue in at some point.
Oh God! Oh, and he cut out.
Shit.
Okay, he's back. Nice.
I think
Okay,
segue
used
was
to it.
just the end of the sentence.
I actually couldn't tell. It's almost impossible. Also, Pog,
Well-
second Athena, not second Artemis. Excuse me. But yeah,
Yeah, I said we'll get an actual segue in here at some point.
Speaking of modded, let's talk about modded.
So Hades news.
Yes, the Hades news section, the part that everyone is happy to be here for. Yeah, Webbs is playing modded. I think it was it only 2 weeks ago now? 2 or 3 weeks ago?
We were
like that.
talking about it for so much longer beforehand that it feels longer, but I think that's when we
Yeah.
posted the survey.
Not necessarily the survey. The Elo has and of course all the other modders have been working tirelessly / slowly on a
Freely.
speedrunning freely. Exactly, no one's paid for this on a racing mod, racing / speedrunning mod for Hades. This was something that we brainstormed like last year. We came up with a series of items that we'd want in a speedrunning mod, and Ella was like, I can do all that. Just give me some time. And 3 months into the following year, Ella was like, it's about damn time. And he just dropped it on us all.
Pretty much as soon as someone got 5 sacked, it was just like, this cannot stand. We will be fixing this.
Well, that's clearly not true because we've been getting 5 sacked for a good long while now, and that was
Yeah,
not
well.
enough to get us there. But yeah, despite loving the fact that we have the mod, I have actually not played on it yet. I'm still doing a little bit of unmodded just to want to try to get my time up before I dissolve completely into modded. But Webbs, you've been playing it a fair bit recently, haven't you?
Yeah, because I got nothing else to play, and I'm waiting on another game. It's
How does
pretty
it-
good, man.
How does it stack up? Like, is it everything you ever wanted?
It's got some kinks to work out, but
Sure.
one being,
Well, why don't you walk us through the changes that this mod actually are using?
right, that's a lot of work
I
for
can do
me
that.
because I'm playing a
Oh,
video
okay.
game. But one thing that really irks me is Elo, fix this text, please.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
all
it is
bold
a-
like that? I was wondering
it is a
why.
bit
I was
cursed.
wondering why it looked like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still some. Oh, nice. There's still some
God.
weirdness to work out for sure.
For our Spotify listeners, he just pulled an epic arty dash out of end tart shop. So
After getting epic dash strikes.
Yes, sir.
Also,
Chaos.
we try to accommodate our audio listeners as little as possible.
Oh,
yeah.
So if you would please kindly treat them more like second-class citizens.
well,
they
the
are.
problem is your second Spotify listener. So one of your two is what I mean. So I need to give some respect.
So you're looking out for your people. I got you. Okay, I'll adjust
Yeah,
the way
our
I treat
second-class-
you
second-class
accordingly during the show. But yeah, we have this like big sort of overhaul to Hades the video game, courtesy of Elo. I don't think there's much of a point going over like every single little change. Some of the big ones are like for hammer dependent weapons, like Achilles and Nemesis. We have managed to guarantee starting hammers, for example. So you'll no longer be resetting for flurry jab. You actually play the weapon. And have a good time. We can fix the sack RNG. We've made it so you can remove Thanatos, and we've made fountain rooms visible. We've made it so that you can actually see what mini boss you're going to walk into, like on the room's door, which is also pretty pog. And the other cool thing about this is that it's all configurable. We can toggle these to our heart's desire. Within the limit of the mod, of course. So, yeah. And
however, I seem to notice as I watch this gameplay that there's an absence of googly eyes on these characters, and I just want to ask why.
We're working on it. But that is part of what sort of the next step is for this particular mod. As soon as Elo dropped it, and we sort of had the tools at our disposal to, I guess, enact a modded category. We released a survey to the community to see what people want the most out of their Hades modded stuff. Obviously, there are really big things like sack RNG or like tiny vermin. You having fun there, Webs?
No, I was trying to skip using the Meg.
I was kind of wondering
here.
where you were going, but I figured he knew better than I did.
Look, man. I should just use the Meg.
Yeah. Your Meg saves are questionable sometimes. But yeah, we released a survey. It has been live for, at the time of this recording, 1 week, 1 or 2 weeks, 1.5 weeks, or something like that. It'll go down tomorrow, and we'll use the results to sort of inform our decision on the rule set for the upcoming modded version of the game. And we actually have the results at hand. It's
sneak
really
peek.
yeah, and you guys had the chance to look at it. So hopefully by the time this is released, we will have made a real actual decision. And we will have a modded category live.
Well,
You put a lot of faith in a lot of things.
Week's not a lot of time.
It's not a lot of time, but it's some time.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, we're definitely gonna start talking about it.
Well, like, have the conversation be started, bare minimum.
okay, listen. This is what I'm going to do, okay? Once Monday rolls around, I will draft a proposed rule set. I will then drop that proposed rule set on the mods and say, all right, anyone who wants to weigh in on this, you can weigh in on it. We'll give it like maybe a week or so, maybe less, depending on how many people weigh in. And then once that's done, we'll just use that decision and then we'll go.
Yeah. No, this is definitely like the biggest conversation point, game direction discussion that we'll have to have for a while. For a while, I think maybe the biggest that this community's had so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely
The board
biggest.
reset was up there.
Board reset was up there. Codex Hack was actually a pretty huge discussion as well at the time.
It shook the
Especially
community for like
especially since
week or
when the discussion was started, the full extent of the tech wasn't really known.
True.
So it was. I think that's why that discussion was as big and as ongoing as it was, because just more and more about how broken and stupid it was discovered.
Fishing tech, in comparison, was much quicker.
Someone posted the clip. Is this allowed? Lol, no.
Well, it wasn't quite that fast. It was, is this allowed? And then there was like a week and a half of silence and everyone not playing IGT because of it. And then someone said,
that was Codex Tech. That wasn't fishing tech.
No. Oh, I thought we were talking about Codex Tech.
Yeah, no.
Fishing tech was within the hour.
Yeah, no.
Right. Yeah.
Fishing tech was literally posted nice. Though. Also poggers.
Yeah. So if I recall correctly, Fishing Tech got posted. Museus dropped a line in the mod channel and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna ban this. Does anyone have any let me know if anyone has complaints with that?" And then 15 minutes later was like, "Yeah, we have decided to ban this." And nobody had any complaints with that.
That was a very good and swift action. Let's fucking go, Museus. And the quota's been met.
I was gonna mention him earlier. Yeah, I was gonna mention him earlier when you just said LO as the mod, guru. But I was like, what about our boy Museus?
Well, right LO's been making mods. Museus has been doing mod work.
Oh, right. I forget that sometimes.
And making mods.
Yeah. And making mods, true. I mean, Museus has been working on quite a bit of stuff. You all have had a sort of sneak peek at the results, which I, of course, have because I made the survey. And you all have gotten a chance to look at it. Actually, Webbs, did you get a chance to look at any of the results? I can't remember.
No, it was never linked to me.
Okay, well, there is a whole sequence of Gyazo images in resources.
That's what that was.
If you want to pause it, the pie charts and shit like that. Those were all survey results.
Yeah, I saw charts and I was like,
boring. Gamer mind want to play video game.
That's so many charts, dude.
Do we have a sneak peek?
There are a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions, and
I can spoil the most interesting result for you, and that
what is the most interesting one for you?
44.3% of gamers have it in their head that they want to reroll hammers rather than just make them configurable.
Really?
That is wild to me.
So, talk to me about what configuring hammers entails specifically, because we had a little bit of a discussion about this, and I had thoughts. Other people had different thoughts. So clearly, there might be some clarity that might be needed there.
Well, I'd imagine it's can be anything from what we already have with Achilles and Nemesis to all right, these hammers are terrible. Let's just remove those from the pool and leave these in. I think configurable hammers is a bit more open ended.
Okay.
And I also just don't like the idea of introducing more RNG and also another role sync into the game when role management is already really hard and
15 people really voted demanding. For leave them as is. Who are you? I'm coming.
Which one is this again? The
for the hammers.
Yeah, 15 people said leave them as is.
Oh shit, I missed that.
Those 15 people are the game is perfect as it is. We don't need to play God here.
Fucking
losers.
Right. I'm kidding. Vote for what you want.
Yeah, vote for what you want.
What the fuck, man?
Who fucking cares? Also, let's go to the six. Yeah. Let's go for the 6 people that voted blank.
I'm not. Wait. Yeah. Okay. So for some reason, that blank is also force good hammers when the player finds. But I think I made a mistake in the survey for 2 seconds, and that made a blank thing, and that just registers. I have no idea why.
Make a mistake? Are you admitting to that openly?
Absolutely.
It does it all the time.
Happens constantly. There are definitely a few questions that could have been clarified. There are even probably 1 or 2 questions that are missing from the survey, but I think for the most part, this gives us a pretty good idea of what's going on.
This is what we were aiming for. We just wanted to get. We wanted to pull the community. We want to be open about that. This is going to be something that's going to affect both the people that care. Obviously, we did not get every single person giving a response, but
they've had a week.
I think the one that's most interesting to me, because I thought it was going to be a little more split, was the cutscenes, like opening and closing. But it seems people just want them gone.
Yeah, I think opening closing cutscenes felt split just because of the very vocal minority, pushing a lot of the conversation. There were like 4 or 5 people that were popping off about it and ideas and feedback when the survey was published.
I think the 2 camps that I've seen are basically, do we want to mod the game to be like no further than, you know, perfect RNG, or do we want to mod the game beyond what perfect RNG can get you and actually make it sort of like the ideal experience? I think both sides have merit, but that's, you know, obviously those 2 are pretty incongruous.
Yeah, obviously, at least I think we generally want somewhere in between this looks like routed and this is the exact same shit, right?
Yeah. I think I would want it closer to this is the same rather than routed. But
yeah,
if it was a sliding scale, at least that's about where I would want to lean. But at the same time, actually... I don't want. I'll say it. I don't want fan. I don't want cutscenes. I don't want to ever get fucking 5-sacked on my 6th weapon ever again. I don't want barge. I don't want vermin.
Preach.
And see, but that's really interesting because all that stuff falls into like just RNG based stuff, you know, like there's the possibility that you don't get Than, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's the possibility that you don't get opening cutscene unless you're doing all weapons. But something like removing end cutscene, like that's like there's no way to not have an end cutscene beyond us modding it. So that's like one of the, I can see that being kind of a sticking point for people.
But like honestly, the problem is the variance in end cutscenes, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, like, it's still valid.
Like I think that's the real driving force. I think I would rather equalize it in the sense that there's none, rather than either equalize in the sense that it's like, you know, you wait 5 seconds between each run, or you leave it vanilla where it's like 10 to 20, 25 seconds where you're just stuck waiting. Right? That's just built-in guaranteed variable time loss. And all of those words built together feel stinky.
One thing that I'm actually considering proposing is to keep ending cutscenes, but make it just one specific cutscene, or like we can find variable cutscenes that are like exactly the same length.
See, that's interesting, but that basically means you're just adding a flat amount of time to every run.
There's a reason for that. The reason would be we would be interested to see like what the game is like if like the bad RNG is removed, but if it's still optimum. Compared to, so like if you take away the ending cutscenes, that's like, you know, a good 10-20 seconds that you're taking off of the end of each run, and that'll obviously lower your time.
It's actually
but you won't really be able to
it's closer to like 40 depending on the cutscene.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, no.
I know for like the
bad cutscenes are
it's
bad.
Like, goddamn.
But that basically falls in line with what I was saying about, you know, you basically want to make the modded category will be sort of optimal, but not beyond what the game itself can produce, you know? Because you still have a cutscene. You're not taking that out, but it's sort of like the best possible cutscene you could get, just like every other option, you know, dodging Than, dodging Rat, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of which, I thought Webbs was about to get Tiny Vermin, but
nope, that's out. We can't get
it.
Yeah, of course.
The Rat has been banned. Goodbye forever.
One thing that I thought was kind of interesting was the result on fountain rooms. I wasn't totally sure what to do with fountain. The options are leave them as is, remove them from the game, or keep them and make them visible to the player. I thought it would be a little bit more split, but keep them and make them visible has just like a flat 50%. Like half of people voted for that.
I think if we could have gone back, if you could have had an option for either keep them or remove them from the game. I think we might have seen more people vote for that because I was indifferent out of those two,
Right.
whether they got chosen or not. I think just as they are right now, they're kind of stinky, and something needs to be done about them.
Yeah,
But
well, the thing is, 36% of people were like, just leave it as is, which is more than I would have expected as well.
Yeah.
That surprises me too, because it feels like making them visible is the fastest option. You know, that provides the most speed potential.
But you could also argue that the most fair option would be removing them.
Yeah, which is like that's basically what I see the two sides as, which I don't know. Fast or fair? What that sort of breaks down the whole conversation.
Yeah, essentially. And if you start busting that open, then it becomes less of a talk about fountains and more of a talk about free rooms in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
also raises the question.
Here's my proposition. Every room's a fountain.
Oh, puff.
Mash dash.
Also raises the question of in what context is it more preferable, right? In the context of a speed run, is it more preferable for it to be faster versus fair, right? I think the difference in my mind, at least, it comes from working with Hyper Delivery in the racing event and helping get that mod pack figured out compared to what I would personally want from a speed running mod. And I think those are two different goals, where I would want the faster options for speed running, but I would want the fairer options for racing.
Yeah.
Because the fairness tends to put on a better show, while the faster in a single instance of that one PB that you are submitting or that one PB you get on stream looks better from a viewer perspective. I think that's why routing's really interesting too.
Yeah.
Because once you remove the 10,000 resets you went through to get this 351 that you just posted, you have this moment of the game the fastest it's ever been, and you playing the best you've ever played, right?
Yeah, and the reset point is exactly what I was going to get into, which is that's what it comes down to. Is like, obviously resetting isn't like fun, like that's why we did what we did, but I think leaving in kind of that element of, you know, you can reset to, like, you can put in the time and it will pay off. I think there's sort of an element that like maybe should be preserved as far as kind of the, I don't know, overall sanctity of speedrunning, or however you want to put it. Maybe
like it still gives you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, it still gives you a reason to grind out like a good time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just
that's
turns
sort of core to speedrunning.
It just turns your expected grind time from 50-60 hours between PBs to 20-30, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Once times get low enough. Obviously, once modded hits, like, we're going to see insane times being posted, bam, 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 bam. But I think we'll end up seeing it sort of plateau, and then we'll be a bit closer to where the vanilla boards are, where there's, you know, the lower the time, the much larger gap between a record, especially in multi-webs as well, which is what this is targeted towards. But yeah, I think once modded hits the boards, regardless of what the rule set in the category looks like, it'll be a lot like, if you guys remember the world record bonanza at the start of 1.0, I think it'll be a lot like that, where records are changing hands every day, every other day, and shit's just popping off and everyone's hyped about it, which is also a fun event to be a part of, you know? It's a fun thing to watch.
Or some fucko will just come out of the woodwork and just put up an unbeatable time, and then everyone will try to beat that time.
I'd be excited to see it. It certainly happened. It certainly happened plenty of times before, and that's actually something I was going to get into, which is, I think I didn't double check this like super thoroughly, but I'm actually one of the like longest staying members of the community here. I think Halion.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Halion. I think only Halion and Jerds were around longer than I was.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, and I actually have a really funny story about that, which is here's the content you brought me on for. So I remember when Vareem first joined. This was way back, a Welcome to Hell update, because that's around when I started, because that's when it got added to Steam. So I actually started playing Hades in early access, And so we had like half a dozen people that were actually active in the community at the time, and it was just kind of a shit fest. But then Vareem shows up, and he immediately starts running fresh file. Like I don't think he even touched like any percent at the time or any heat or whatever.
Yeah.
And literally multiple times when he would like post on the Discord about like, oh hey, I'm trying out this like new thing, fresh file, and he would like post times, nobody would like respond. Like nobody said shit to him. Just because like it was like, oh, nobody like really knew what to do about it.
Much like now.
and then no lie, after like a little bit of that, he switches to like any heat and he like gets like second or something, and now suddenly people are like, oh, what the hell, who's this guy? And then suddenly people were talking to him about fresh file. he may remember that story differently, but that was like my perception of it kind of as an outsider. I was like, oh boy, that was really fun. Because like it's the he's the fucking purple monkey, so it's like, oh, it's like...
he is the bonsai buddy. That is true.
He truly is.
Yeah.
Well, that's a Discord thing. If you only know him through stream, like, what do you mean? He's like the.
That is funny. There are two Vareems. Much like there are two Courtneys, there are two Vareems. There is very much so stream Vareem and the Discord Vareem. One of my first like Discord Vareem experiences was like I didn't even realize his profile picture was Bonzi Buddy. I had joined the Discord, didn't pay much attention, asked like 2 or 3 questions, went about my day, right? Yeah. And then I go to submit my first run, it gets rejected, and Vareem DMs me to let me know, hey, I'm sorry, we had to reject this. Just be sure to have a death before you submit your run. And that was my first experience. Was I knew who Vareem was. Vareem was the one that got me into speedrunning Hades from watching his All Weapons Time early 1.0, and then just Bonzi Buddy, named Vareem, messaging me on my Discord. Never felt more intimidated in my fucking life, dude.
Okay, the thing, my experience with Bonzi Buddy Vareem is that I had no idea what Bonzi Buddy actually was. Like, I don't know how I missed that part of the internet, because I feel like I'm old enough to know it. I mean, Satan knows what it is, so I should have at least maybe been able to know what it is. But for a while, I just thought it was like a fat purple bird. I'm not sure if I can get anyone else to see it, which makes me feel crazy. No. But
it's definitely not. It's definitely a big purple monkey.
My story in joining the speedrunning Discord is actually really funny, because it was entirely for selfish purposes. It was because I've been a big fan of Supergiant games for years. I played Bastion like way back in the day when it came to like Xbox, like online or Game Pass or whatever the hell it was called. Played Pyre, played Transistor, loved all of them. So as soon as I heard about Hades, and like heard it was coming to Steam, I was like, oh, this game's gonna be big, because like I could just tell, like Supergiant games, however you feel about Pyre, they basically always knock it out of the park. So I
always respected Supergiant games, even though I never played any of their other games until Hades.
Yeah, it's worth going back, but everybody says that. So anyway, I had seen I've also watched GDQ for like since 2013, something around there. Like I watched it for a while. And so I saw, I remember like Vuligin, big name. He did a Bastion run or two, like way back in the day. So I kind of also knew like this game's gonna be big. It's a Supergiant Games game. This is probably gonna end up at GDQ. And I'm like, I want to get in on the ground floor of this community and see if I can like be a part of the community and maybe end up at GDQ.
Bust out sometimes, be the top runner.
And then I joined the community and I watched Halien's runs, who had world record at the time, and I said, well, nope, that's not going to happen.
You can't sit here and tell me you were intimidated by the old man. Come on.
No. Hey guys, remember when Halien was a thing?
Halien was the big dog. Now we visit his shoebox every year.
But yeah, no. So hats off to Halien, because he really was like, for the early people, basically like the face of the people that were really doing like putting in work on the game.
Yeah, he got me into it too, whether I liked it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrist in Halien chat.
I'm very thankful I have a getting into Hades experience that was purely devoid of Halien. I have no ties to the stinky old man. Thank you, Webs2D.
No problem, brother.
So yeah, I put in a bunch of time. I actually did. I only started speedrunning. I didn't start until the next patch, which was with a winter one. I forget what it's called now, but
Long Winter.
Yeah, fuck.
Long Winter, yeah.
That's the one I came in on.
Didn't even play it. I know it. Losers.
So I miss Hydra Skip to this day. I always like to break that reference out. But also it's sort of the sort of thing where like I basically after that just sort of let it go. Did other stuff, played other games until 1.0 dropped, and sort of like came back to the community as it started exploding.
So you became washed before you were even good.
Oh no, I see. Getting washed implies like you were ever good to begin with. I'm just a poser. Like,
right, that's what I said. Like you became washed before you had the chance to be good. Like you washed yourself.
Basically.
Like usually that's what people like. Like someone like me who was good in like one or two things for a while, and then I was like, damn, these younger, faster, smarter gamers, I can't keep up with them. I'm gonna do other things in the game that don't involve competing with these gamers.
Well, I feel like the really interesting thing is, well, so first of all, so I'm one of the community verifiers, but I think of all the verifiers, I'm probably the one who's like put in the least amount of time actually like running this game, which is just really funny. I've just really enjoyed like being a part of the community. But I lost my train of thought. I was going to talk about that and then move on to something else.
I will say the case of GuardianRoborn in the Hades speedrunning community is definitely an interesting one, right? Because like all of the like old heads of the community know him, and like like you get into the community and you're like, who the fuck is this guy that everyone knows, that everyone with respectable time knows, and it come to realize
have a respectful time.
Been here longer than most
of them. What does he do here?
Yeah, not gonna lie, I Humegaloed you immediately when I got into the Discord.
Well deserved.
Like, who the fuck is this?
Because like I think of like also in that same vein, I'm one of like the only quote unquote big names, if you can even call that doesn't stream, because I am currently playing on a laptop and shit like that, and like I just don't really have that. Here.
I stream.
Oh shit.
See, I streamed enough to have a legacy, right? And the best part, dude, Clint Stevens is my Twitch.tv idol, because if there's anything I've learned from Clint Stevens, it's that at any point, if you're not feeling it, you can disappear for 2 months and have people pop off when you come back.
That's true.
That is true. That's true.
Dude, my biggest streams are always my post-break comeback streams, because everyone rates me. Everyone's like, Satan's live, get in there.
Well, that's when are you going to give me my post-break Satan break nut?
That's the question.
It's
you
been
gotta
many
let
a
it
moon.
build, baby.
You've been edging me for like 3 months.
Stream's coming soon, baby.
Yeah. Well, so that's actually how I think most of us found Satan, which is when you got raided by Hermes Cup that one time, and you were playing. I remember you were playing Beowulf, and it was the first time I'd ever seen someone play Beowulf, and I was like, oh, so that's how that weapon works.
I was.
Who?
No, you think I watch you, Wrist?
BB laugh.
I mean, you watched Hermes Cup, right? Like that was where me and Vareem pioneered Beowulf technology, and then I went on to pioneer more Beowulf technology.
Dude, speaking of getting Humegaloed by GuardianRoborn, did y'all see in Webb's fucking art basement? In the Alien Project server? I've never been so disrespected in my life.
Wait, what happened? Did I miss something?
Go back, scroll up a little bit. You'll see.
Yeah, so
I literally can't.
As part of a certain project that is ongoing, Webbs is doing some artwork, and I said, "Oh, like what type of work have you done before?" So I can kind of get an idea of what your art looks like. And Ello posted one of your emotes, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you." Yeah, well, after eventually you posted all of them, but I didn't realize I didn't realize it was one of your emotes. So I said like, "Oh, I didn't realize you drew that." And Ello goes, "I would have imagined he drew his own emotes." And I'm like, "You think I watch Webbs' stream?"
Just uncalled for entirely.
Look, Wrist is paying you, not me.
I did not get paid nearly enough to get roasted like this.
Well, your art is really good, and it's better than I can do. So there is that.
That's the other fun thing about Guardian is if he has anything going for him, it's audacity.
I have no right to have the attitude I do, honestly. I cannot put my money where my mouth is.
During my brief time as a top runner, like when I was on top, he was shit talking me.
Dude, you know who it reminds me of? God. It's like he's like Krovan, but it hurts so much more.
Yeah.
He's not nearly as good as Krovan, unfortunately.
No, don't you ever say Krovan is good. Stop.
Yeah.
I can't walk the walk. I can't put my money where my mouth is. None of it. I've earned none of it.
God, remember when we had beef, Guardian?
Where you called me Theseus?
Yeah.
For some reason.
Because you talk a lot of shit, but always get your shit clapped.
the one that hurt the most, the one that legitimately hurt the most, is it was in your stream, and I made a comment like about your times, and you just said something like, "At least I have times" or something like that, and I was like, "Ah, fuck."
We missed that last part. You cut.
Oh, he said something about I made some comment about his times, and he said, "At least I have times" or something like that.
Right. Man's got a point.
And I was like, "Oh, fuck."
Well, see, I feel like that makes you better to have around because you're like. Sometimes it's hard. Like it's hard to come up with like appropriate roasts for people who are really good, who are roasting you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck, I can't shit on his time. Like he's got a top 10 time. Like I've got to like,
try coming back and like
his family or his voice or something like that. But like for you, it's just like get some runs on the board, B.
Yeah.
Also untrue. I get roasted all the fucking time.
Well, see, that's what I sort of realized. Like I said, I joined the community for quote unquote selfish reasons because I'm like I want to be at GD. I want to be on the couch,
Right.
And then
They got me. I don't.
Well, more like lol. There was no real couch because it was online. So that was really funny because I would have like even without that I would have gone anyway. But I think it's just really interesting to me because people start playing this game, the game comes out, they get into it for 100 different reasons, and it just like becomes like their game, like all you guys stream it, or at least used to, like really regularly, and it's like how do you like you guys just like had that time available to you, where it's like, all right, yeah, now this is the thing I'm gonna dedicate my life to. It's like I never really actually had that time. I just really enjoyed the game and talking to the people.
I think Hades is a really easy game to enjoy casually as a spectator.
Yeah. It's 100%.
It's very. I think it's generally pretty clear what's going on if you've played the game for like a moment.
Yeah.
Like even if you've only done like 1 or 2 runs and like not beaten Hades, I feel like you can generally watch and get it as long as you have a base knowledge of the game, you can sort of enjoy it. So
yeah, and that happens all the time. Like on the Hades game subreddit, like people will just post clips, and like the comments will be full of people that are like, I've never fucking seen this before in my life. Like there's a boon that does that, and it's like, yeah, like you get it. Like you may not be informed, but you get it.
Imagine not knowing the names of all of the boons in the game.
Imagine not being able to identify them by their icons, so you don't need to read because we all know.
I wonder if I can do that.
Hello, friends.
That's actually really funny you say that because I don't remember who it was. It was probably like Musaeus that was like you just need to memorize it. Like that's just the hump that you need to get over to be a top runner. You just need to memorize them.
That's a Musaeus thing. Like Musaeus would do that. Thing. Like he would optimize that shit in his computer brain.
I will say it's not like that hard. Sure, any of you could do it. Like if you actively stop trying to read and just looked at the pictures, you could probably make out what's what. Because a lot of them are like super clear, and then the bad ones that you never take, you think to yourself, "Wait, I never take this boon." You just don't take it.
Has anyone drawn the comparison that Musaeus is the Mewtwo King of the Hades speedrunning community?
More Smash shit. I
maybe not on this show, but that comparison has definitely been made on a stream or two.
Yeah, and obviously that's a high compliment. Like I don't mean that in any.
And you know the best part of it, he's Musaeus 7, and he's definitely 2007 Mewtwo King. Let's be real here.
Can you explain for the non-Smash people in the room?
No.
So all the top Smash players are obviously like very technical, like, and their skill level is top, you know, cream of the crop. But I think Music King is one of them that is probably known for, you know, like knowing the game, like to the frame data, like technicality of it. And
yeah,
Museus definitely has torn this game inside and out himself.
Like
so.
a lot of frame data and things like that for Smash, you can just go online and look it up, right? But in Melee, that wasn't a thing because you gotta think of the era, right? Melee came out in 2001, right? And it's not like in 2001 you could boot up google.com and say, what is the frame data of Marth Smash? So instead what he did is for every single character in the game, he spent hours and hours pausing and unpausing the game, counting the frames of each move so that he knew the frame data. Yeah, no, dude's a machine.
And now when we talk about Museus complaining about dash strike frames, it becomes just a little bit more clear.
Yep.
To be fair, I don't know the frame data, but I also complained about losing those frames.
Yeah. Yeah, like sort of the thing. You can feel it.
It's all about the feeling.
Hello, friends. This is Webs2D here to remind you, hey, last weapon in this 3-webs run.
Let's pick up the pace.
Yeah. So, speaking of 3 weapons, hyper delivery coming up soon. New rule changes. Those that haven't seen it, Eris, Stinky, bye. Achilles, new Eris, nope. Flurry jab, not on first hammer.
Keep going. Go through the rest of our notes.
On the racing event, Hermes Cup, Seagull versus Stunko, we made predictions. None of them came, well, one of them came true. Seagull fucking died, it turns out.
Seagull fucking fucked us, okay? Listen, when we were making our notes document, we were like, okay, in the Hermes Cup, if there's one person who isn't an Anka who can dethrone Dunk, it's definitely Seagull. Like, because he's good, but he also, I think I wrote, Seagull will get luckier than Dunk, PP laugh. I think that's why I said, because he's been pretty lucky in quite a few tournaments. And what does that motherfucker do but die? He dies on the first fucking weapon. Dies on Eris. Like, at least die on something respectable like fists or sword or something like that. Where it's like, oh yeah, I can see that. Like, you totally die.
Tunis, what the fuck?
Look,
first vanilla, we saw 140 all weapons.
Through things. I was just
that's crazy. You. Who'd have thought that someone could do that? Not me.
I just
46x, the 3 weapons coming soon. Never know. Donkey, new Hero World record last night happened. It was great. Or technically this morning.
Wait, no, he did get 46.
He did?
He did.
Yeah.
We predicted it, baby.
I literally saw that. In the speedrun like queue like world record. I was like, motherfucker.
Tunis popping off.
I fucking hate
for what reason?
I want to mention. So, in my Discord server, he quoted me as half of the motivation for him running all webs because I called his PB dog shit. So you're welcome, Hades community. We saw a sub 140.
You could have given him like a thumbs up, like, nice dude. Keep grinding that IGT. Don't worry about multi-weps.
No, give him 147. It was dog shit.
God.
It's always so
for
hype
Hades
when
news.
you just
crazy.
It's always hype when you just like skip a minute in a record. Like when Bream did that in Fresh File, super pog. Doing it in fucking.
I technically did that for 3 weapons.
Who cares? It's like, dude,
for those of you who
you get your own "I've never seen a 113 and I never fucking will" moment, and that's so hype.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, also his name is like Tonus or something, which is super weird because my brain reads his name and says Tunis, but whatever. Tonus.
Sorry, Tonus.
Is like mainly an IGT player, right? Like that's what he mostly does, from what I understand. Nice.
Thanks.
Was that? I didn't actually count. I wasn't watching.
That was 1.
It was 1.
It was the Riz 13 special.
Yeah, even worse actually, because actually no, mine was worse. But yeah, and Tunis just like because we have like we have the. I don't know how to feel about Talkness. Like we have our group of RTA runners, right? Like Ananka is the big name, Dunk is the big name, Vreem was like the big name, but now he just does Fresh File and Hollow Knight and Webs. Well, I mean, yeah. I guess. Yeah. I mean, you're retired, right? So you don't count anymore.
I'm still a fucking look here, buddy.
But and Tonus doesn't stream, doesn't play doesn't seriously play RTA, and then just gets 2 world records in the fucking we were expecting like Dunk to get it or Nanka to get it, and then just some nerd from off screen comes in, hey, I did it, and
the problem is this is gonna crush Dunk's spirit.
I think it did. I think I think on stream he stopped playing Hades and started playing Hollow Knight or something. Couldn't fucking handle it.
Let me let y'all in on a secret, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be an RTA runner to be good at this game. It's almost like the... Hold on. It's almost like...
That was a tough decision. Sure footing over deathless stand.
Yeah. But it's almost like IGT translates to RTA. You just got to make the decisions quickly.
No, it's stinky. No,
it's but it still hurts. I mean, it doesn't hurt me that much, but I can but I can definitely feel like the unspoken or spoken pain of our regular RTA runners.
So here's something else y'all can roast me for. I have attempted one RTA run. I tried 3 weapons when it came out, and I intended to do more, but I just never got around to it. But I played I think it was Hera, Demeter, and then Eris was going to be the 3rd, but I died on Demeter. So that was my one 3 weapons attempt.
So you don't even have one, you just have an attempt.
Nope. I don't. I never got around to doing more. I always planned on it, but
I want to circle back a little bit. I think if you're upset that like an IGT runner just came in and swooped in and knocked out some good times, that's on you.
Right? Yeah, true.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Because
that is definitely on you.
Also, look at Lily and cry.
Like how Lily has the Does Lily still have the fastest RTA?
Yep.
God fucking
yeah.
damn.
So and it was while they were kind of doing IGT too. So I don't think anything's really gonna beat that in terms of IGT versus RTA.
But
let's do both.
The reason it bothers me is when people view it like that, right? Is because it diminishes like their work, right? Like what they've done. And I think it's kind of fucked up. But I remember.
Wait a second. Satan, did I just happen to hear you give a very solemn agreement in the don't make fun of IGT runners because it diminishes their work? Is that what I just heard?
I'm agreeing with the point that Webs2D has made that in the event that an IGT runner knocks an RTA time out of the park, unironically being upset about it is stinky and dumb.
Oh yeah. To be clear, I am not upset about it. I don't think
no.
I just think it's funny.
So my point was not to like call out anyone specifically. I'm just saying
there were people that were kind of stinky
there?
About it. There were a couple people that were a little stinky attituded.
Stop it, nerds.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Like, dude, when I saw how Nanke would play every fucking weapon, and I could not fucking wait till that man touched RTA. She was sick.
Yeah.
I mean, he bought me pretty soon, but you know,
yeah. Daily reminder that Ananke's a monster. If you didn't need it already.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, fucking Tonus is like, I just got lucky, guys. Like, it's not that big a deal. Like, shut the fuck up. We've been chasing this forever.
Tonus is almost a non-K-tiered
sore winner
when it comes to refusing to admit being good at the video game.
Yeah, it's like you almost want someone to trash talk because it's like then it gives you.
I want
it's like
Hades
more aspirational
villains
that way.
I want people to pop off when they get a huge world record and call everyone else trash. Give people more motivation. This IGT runner came in and called me bad. Fuck this guy. I'm taking his record right now. rather than guys,
this is all part of Satan's ambition to cultivate beef within the community.
I want Hades community beef.
We need
makes
more
the community more interesting.
Yeah.
People are too nice. No, so I was actually gonna get to this at some point. This community is fucking great. Everyone said that. Everyone's, I know Medic's talked about that a lot.
Dude, fuck Medic-cast. I know he doesn't watch, but I love you, Medic.
the last major public community Discord I was a part of was for Dungeons and Dragons. It was for D&D. And I got banned from that community.
What?
So my experience with that previous community was not that positive. So this one's been a hell of a lot better.
Should we have banned you a long time ago?
I'll let you guys in on a very well kept secret. D&D nerds are sometimes losers.
Fucking role players, am I right?
Well,
let's not go that far. Come on now, buddy.
The problem was I had made, up until this was actually like years ago, but up until that point I had made a bunch of friends like online, all through high school and college. So suddenly kind of like dipping your toes into bigger, wider waters, you sort of like still feel like you can just be friends with everybody and it's not a big deal. But then you suddenly realize that like people online can sometimes be jerks, and like that's a lesson that I think everybody learns at some point, that that sometimes people aren't your friends and can twist words that weren't said the way they said they're said, and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But anyway, Dungeons and Dragons is a fun game that I once played with two of these nerds.
True.
I was gonna say, we played D&D with you once. It was not streamed.
It was not.
I feel like I asked you, but I don't know. Maybe you were just being nice. How did that go for you? I don't know. I don't have a lot of D&D experience. I have a little bit, but I never know if I'm doing it right. And I know there's no right way of doing it, but there's definitely a wrong way to do it, right?
Yeah.
And
so I actually thought about this a little bit ahead of time, and it was actually really interesting because you and Austin, you and Satan were sort of on two ends of a spectrum, and not that kind of spectrum. No, but it was actually
I don't know what you're talking about.
Neither of them are bad. So actually, let me take a step back. So first and foremost, I had fun.
Yeah.
But really, when me looking at a game and saying did it go well is dependent on did the players have fun, which I think they all did. No one maybe you all saw it as a waste of time, which that's valid. But as long as you thought it was time well spent, that's really good enough for me. Risk came to me and wanted to play again, so that's basically the biggest thumbs up you can get from playing D&D with someone. So but in general, so Risk, and that's actually sort of builds into the point, is Risk was super engaged, super into everything that was going on, and really wanted to know, was engaged is just the best word for it. And that there's a lot of fun that can come from that, because when players are super involved with what's going on, they want to know that they care, they care about what's going on. They're meeting you halfway, as far as your time. Now Satan, I'm not about to lead into this by saying you weren't engaged. What I mean was Rist was super into the specific session we were doing, the story that we were telling. I think Austin would have had a blast no matter what we were doing.
Yeah, no,
and that's also a really great player to play with, because they're just vibing, and when someone's vibing with what you're doing, that's great. As long as people aren't bored, God, I hope Museus wasn't bored. Holy shit. You can never tell with that guy.
Especially in table, I'm definitely the type of D&D player where no matter what's going on, I can find my own fun.
Exactly.
I'm incredibly self-sustaining. And especially in a table where I know there's less experience than newer players, I also tend to let them be the ones to be super engaged. Because if you haven't done it a ton, it is fun to be super engaged and want to know all the small details and want to do everything and all of this, that, or the other. And so I think I went into it more, again, looking to have my own fun, and also just to enable Riz to have his fun things, and let people have their fun, because I know I can make mine no matter what. Like,
yeah, exactly. Someone able to make their own fun takes so much pressure off of a DM, because like there's a lot of spinning plates, and me as a DM is super like hyper focused on making sure people are like into it. Like I like to keep people involved. I like to keep people engaged. And so I think like our session ran really long, but I think like I checked in like multiple times to make sure I wasn't like keeping people there, which is, like I said, I'm not about to trap somebody in a not bad time or not good time. So yeah, no, I think everyone had fun. I had a lot of fun setting it up. So by Webs. Yeah, so Webs has not played D&D, so probably does not have much to contribute to this conversation, though. I did ask him. He expressed some interest in playing before, and like a few weeks ago, I asked him. I'm like, hey man, we're like, I know we talked about this a while ago. Would you be interested in actually like pulling some together? Like I know people like Rist are interested in playing again. He never got back to me.
He's not even here to hear that.
I know. That's why I'm saying it.
Webb's taking a piss right now or something.
There's a contractual obligation you enter when you interact with Webs 2D, and it's fine. Sometimes when you want to hit him up about something, you get ghosted every once in a while, and that's fine. you go in to interacting and being friends with Webs 2D.
He's smiling because he already knew you were talking about him.
You don't have the knowledge going into it.
I just had to pee, dude.
You experience it once or twice, and you're like, okay, you know what? No big deal. It happens. Sometimes you just DM Webs and he doesn't get back to you, and then 3 months later you hit him up about something else and he does get back to you, and that's life.
That does actually happen. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry.
And it's fine.
I don't think I can count the number of times Webs has said something along the lines of, "I forgot. I'm sorry."
Yeah, no, like as an accidental ghoster on occasion, I get it. It happens.
Yeah, I've been there. But no, hey, I had fun. Whether it becomes a thing that happens again, that's totally okay, or not, that's totally okay. Like I said, I was happy that. Yeah, well, that means a lot. Your character was really cool. So we're gonna just keep dropping little breadcrumbs about this game, and you can all just wonder and imagine it as this super amazing experience that we all had that people didn't get to miss out on, and not know that fucking Satan was a rat whisperer who just was a homeless bum with powers that they got from the deep ocean.
Yeah,
and talk to rats.
I'm glad that I got to name my character LOL. That's really good.
Oh my god, that's right.
Yeah,
what was it? It was leap of logic.
Leap of logic.
Yeah, leap of logic.
I fucking god.
The other really fun thing is my character was like the complete antithesis to both Risk 13 and Dunko's characters, so that made it a lot of fun too.
Yeah. So I had put a lot of prep into that, which I usually do because I wanted you guys to have a good time, and I think that did. D&D is fun. I think it teaches you a lot about like interpersonal communication. I actually, one of the biggest skills I learned from it is just being able to like keep a conversation going or like keep talking. You'd see really useful at work, presentations and shit.
Yeah.
Also, if you've ever been bad at reading a room, playing a couple of games of D&D can really help with that as well. Especially if you like to fuck around, it's very you tend to learn very quickly when it is and is not okay to have your goose and gaffs.
Yeah, as long as everybody like at the table, quote unquote, or online is on the same page about like what they're all there for.
Yeah,
like that's the biggest. I'm actually pretty big. Not pretty big into the D&D community, and that's like so I hear tons of stories, and basically every story that like ends badly usually comes down to like people weren't on the same page about what they were there for. So that's happened. That's happened to me too, honestly.
I personally like to build my entire personality around goofs and gaffs, so no one ever expects anything from me. It's sick.
Well, there's a place for you two, Webs, believe me. Though so the funny thing was, if we were gonna play like another session with Webs, it would be like a total beginner session. Yeah. And the other person that would have been a part of that would have been Bablo.
I want to play with Babs.
Babs busy.
Yeah. Babs. I want to introduce him to Thotimus Prime, dude. It's gonna be sick.
Oh god.
Would that have been the name of your character?
Yeah, it's my character's name in Valheim.
I don't know if I'm the right DM for you.
Oh, fuck.
Did we want to? Yeah. I don't know how much. What's our time, Mr. Satan?
This one, can't see that. 1 hour.
Yeah, nope. Okay. Do you want to talk real quick about the games we're playing?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Let's see. I can't remember what I said last time. I had a bunch of games that I have and mean to play. I still have not played those games because I picked up Risk of Rain 2. I did not pick it up for the update. I actually picked it up before the update, which dropped like a couple of days ago. New character, some balance changes and shit. But everyone's just been saying so much about it for so long. I was just like, I'll pick it up. And I think Satan has bemoaned the fact that he introduced me to it because I'm just playing it all the time or something. I get my first Mithrix kill like last night, which is pretty exciting. And yeah, I think I can have a lot of fun with this game for sure.
It's fucking good.
Do you play with other folks?
Sometimes.
Unfortunately, he does.
Does that mean one of those folks is you, Webs?
Yeah. No, this motherfucker. I'll ask him to play Risk of Rain, and then I'll ping him in my server, and he'll be cheating on me in another server, and it's the fucking worst.
That's fucked up.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, Mr. Satan, you have a line on this document that I'm sure you want to.
Yeah, it's really quick. Speaking of speedrun history happening in a completely different game, I've been doing a lot of Dark Souls 1, 80% no wrong learning. And
fans of the show might be familiar with the name, as Satan has talked about it before.
Yeah, and a guy that got into the community right around the time I was heading out when I was first into it, and he's been grinding ever since. Very recently broke the 38-minute barrier, and it took about 3 years for the game to get that low. So that was really hype.
How big
he got it?
Was it? Like 1 second or like?
Yeah, it was.
30
it's
seconds
37.50 something.
That's funny. The joke I was about to make is the record before that was 1 hour and 27 minutes.
The hour before that was like 38:02. But with a category like 80% no wrong warp, especially since it's been ran for so long, like the newest trick that saved a lot of time was discovered like a year ago. And so there's been a lot of optimizations done, and there's like a lot of it's to the point where it was hard to save, the 3 seconds to get below that. And funny enough, he actually did it after a week off from the category, playing any percent. He comes back and second run of the stream, his D-Rush stream, he drops the he breaks the barrier. Shit was so funny.
It's interesting to hear you say for a 38-minute record, 3 seconds is hard to shave off. Is it like that tight?
One more again?
So I said for a 38-minute record, 3 seconds was that hard to shave off?
Yeah.
Souls is a long game.
Yeah, I can tell you from experience that the shorter category is, the harder it is to optimize.
Well, I'm actually saying 38 seems kind of long for me for 3 seconds to be that tight, but I guess if I think about it, like I could think of other games that.
So in the context of Dark Souls 1, 38 is a shorter category, especially across the main categories. Like if you were to do all bosses, for example, that's an hour and 2, right? Any percent, which skips half of the bosses of No Wrong Warp, is I think 20 something minutes, and then there's an even faster category that does like 3 bosses and beats it, which just barely recently beat the 18. So it's long-ish, but in the context of how much game you are playing, it's pretty fucking short because you fight every major boss outside of gargoyles. Yeah, outside of gargoyles, you still have to fight Quelaag. So there's a lot of game to be played within that 38 minutes, which is why it becomes so hard, especially in a game like Dark Souls. Enemy RNG and things like that play into it, and getting the route going. You have a 1 in 26% chance to even get a run past the first 8 minutes.
So the real question is, has Summoning Salt already reached out to you about the history of Dark Souls speedrunning?
No, there's a guy within the community that does a lot of the chronicling and things. He actually has a video on the Force Quit record, which is the one that's like the 18-ish minute time.
Does he use that one song that Summoning Salt always uses?
Summoning Salt.
All right, well then he's shit.
Yeah, I've been playing Dark Souls 1, learning that cool thing happened in speedrunning history. Risky 2 with the boys every once in a while. New characters hype. Love Bandit. And I'm like perpetually Kingdom Hearts waiting room. That's been my gaming summary over the past 2 weeks.
Speaking of Kingdom Hearts waiting room.
Fuck. You can't just do like, hey, I like Kingdom Hearts as well. You know, I've been waiting for that to come out. It's coming out in like a week or something, right? Like that's you can't just do that.
So no, that's a perfect segue. Because he was speaking of it, and I'm in that waiting room.
Damn it,
Riz. The more you hate the speaking of why segues, the funnier they become every time.
It's fine. Yeah. I know it. It's happening. It's already a meme. I can't stop it.
I have a game I have a game I want to have been playing, but I've been kind of putting it off. So what I've really been playing is Halo 3
gonna, like,
on.
Yeah, we're not gonna let me finish.
Elbow out. Webbs is.
I thought. Is there more to it than that?
Yeah, that was the end of it.
I thought that was the end of it. Shit, I'm sorry.
Speaking of reading the room, Jesus Christ.
Also, yes, I am.
I've never. GuardianRoborn has owned me way too many times.
The audacity! I'm telling you, he has one thing in life. It's audacity.
That's how I'm recording. That's how I'm recording this, dude.
So yeah, I am waiting for Kingdom Hearts. I may or may not acquire it legally. We shall see. I picked up Cat Quest 2 today. That's pretty poggers. I've been playing that with New High, and it's kind of sick.
Oh boy.
I'm not gonna talk about what it's about because you don't care.
I'll ask, but you might not believe that I care.
Nah, that's fine. We can just move on. Risky 2 with the lads. I picked up Final Fantasy 4 and Octopath together.
Ooh.
I started playing Final Fantasy 4 first and started Octopath yesterday, and I don't think I'm going back to Final Fantasy 4.
Yeah.
I was going to say, are you going to finish Final Fantasy
4? That's probably going to be my game I play before bed, because it actually runs on my laptop, so I don't have to... Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Octopath looks so cool, but I know it's a game I could sink like 100+ hours into. I just don't want to make that commitment.
Yeah. That's what's been. So I picked it up when it first dropped on Switch, and I kept telling myself, "Oh, I'm gonna get it if it comes to PC." But here we are, 3 years later. It is just a very time-consuming game. So
aren't the developers? Didn't they just release They're making a new game. They announced that last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely remember seeing a trailer that had those same graphics. I just don't remember what it was for now.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called either, but shit, I'm down to play it.
Yeah.
I like these devs. They're pretty cool.
Now may I speak, Mr. Webbs?
No. I'll think about it. Go ahead, buddy.
Just go and we'll stop you if you don't like what you're doing.
So my de-stress game / pastime is Halo 3 on Master Chief Collection.
Nice.
Recently. Yeah. I played that a shit ton back in high school, and then accidentally broke my disc or ruined it, scratched it up all the hell, so I couldn't play it anymore. But I always wanted to again. That was always just such a big. That was my go-to. So when it came out on Master Chief Collection, I'd basically just pick it up, for an hour or two every once in a while and stop playing when I get too angry.
The broken disc is also the same excuse I used in middle school, so my mom would buy me another. However, she did not know young Webs2D broke that motherfucking disc in half.
No, for me it was because I was young and dumb, and I didn't realize that you shouldn't tilt the Xbox while a game was in there.
I can hear the sound of the disc getting fucked, dude. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the end of me playing Halo 3 as a kid.
The most advanced console I've ever owned was PS2, so
dude, that brings me back middle school. Tony Hawk's American Wasteland and I had my 360 vertical. My dog bumped the table, and the sound the disc made as the Xbox fell to horizontal
for me
is ingrained into my nightmares.
For me, you can at least blame your dog. For me, it was I was like, we had it vertical, and I was like, oh, like I don't want this to fall over and like ruin something while the game is in there.
Myself.
So I'll tip it over myself, and that was all she wrote. So the game I want to play. But so it's called Crosscode. It's by indie developer. Webb's just made a Sound of Recognition. It's an action RPG. It's like pixel, like retro graphics. It's I'm not very good at like describing games like this, but it's really really good. And the epilogue DLC just came out a few weeks ago, and I bought it, but I haven't played it yet. And part of the reason for that is because I've been like busy with stuff, but also because I think Crosscode is maybe the first game I've ever played where I've like not wanted to finish it because then there's no more game. Does that make any sense? Like, like as soon as I finish this DLC, that's like the end of me like getting to play this game unless I want to like replay it or like do a challenge run or whatever. And that's kind of sad. There's a bittersweetness to that, but the game's amazing.
That was Persona 5 for me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Did you pick up Strikers?
I did. I need to play it. I'm like,
did you guys pog out over it and then you played it for like 10 hours? Like, yeah, this is great. And I don't know if I've seen you guys play
but then Dark Souls came. It's not my fault.
Look, the reason I stopped playing it is because I've finished this one dungeon and then, look, man, the PC port's not that great, so it fucking crashed and I didn't get to save and I'm not replaying that 3 hours it took me.
Webs 2D got Bright 01.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crosscode, it's like one of the only games I've actually like gone out of my way to do like 100%. I didn't actually 100% it, but I got all like the chests and I like actually have tried to like, play the game beyond just, finishing the story or whatever. I guess Hades is also kind of like that because of speed running, but as far as like casual gaming,
I have a fully unlocked save that I unlocked by myself.
Yeah, exactly. So,
nerd.
No, it's really great. The really cool thing about the game is the sort of the premise of it is that like it's an action RPG game. Like imagine it's like a Zelda game, honestly, because it has like dungeons and shit. But like sort of the premise in the game is that your character is playing a virtual reality MMORPG.
Spoilers.
So it's literally the very like the start of the game is you logging into the game. It's not really a spoiler.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So it's hilarious because like there are NPCs in the game that are like
spoilers.
other quote unquote people.
What the fuck?
Then they're like so it gets really meta to talk about. I know it's kind of confusing, but it's like there's in-game NPCs.
God damn it.
Yeah, it's
oh
God. Well, it's really funny because like the developers of the game are all huge weebs, and they had like the game is chock full of like anime and video game references, which are always really funny. But they really nail like the NPCs in the game that are meant to be like other players of this MMO. They really nail just like how players talk about MMOs. And like, because you can just like overhear conversations, and they it sort of like simulates other people are playing this game with you, and like the conversations you can overhear about people like grinding quests and just like complaining about bullshit and like waiting for balance patches and like complaining about shit is like spot fucking on. I love it.
Look, man, Guardian, you have single-handedly convinced me to never play this game because yes, I have sat in a voice call with both Ananke and Nuhai talk about FF14. Never. No, never again, dude.
It's not like it's a major part of the game. The game has its own story and whatever, but as far as like flavor elements of it, it's really good. And obviously like the gameplay itself is really, really fun. If you like kind of, involved crunchy like action RPG, like it's like Zelda, but if you had like more stuff to do. Also, as far as like if you really like Legend of Zelda games, but you always kind of felt them as just sort of like too easy, like they're Nintendo games, so you sort of just like waltz right through them. Look into this game because honestly, like the dungeons and the puzzles in them are like legitimately difficult. Like it takes like a while to get through a dungeon, and you actually will be challenged. And that like
Crosscode is the honeypop 2 of RPGs.
Oh man,
look,
man,
I heard it was an isekai and I was immediately uninterested.
Yeah.
Gonna be honest with you.
It's not.
I have actually, I've heard good things about the game from other sources. I did like some commission work back for someone that used to run the game.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Webbs. You did you had a commission of Leia on your that you posted. Yeah, I popped off a little. I was like, oh shit.
I still have no idea who the fuck she is.
Yeah, it's not a super well known game. It's not like it's it's an indie game and it never really like blew up. I don't think so. I don't think a lot of people know it, but I would definitely recommend it to people.
Yeah, for sure.
So anime.
Well, I was going to say, but before we move on to that, you mentioned earlier you've you're part of a community. You had to leave that community. You came here. One of the, I mean, aside from of course the fact that you're very cool and we all love you, you also were like, hey, like my time with this community is like starting to like near its end, right? So we're like, we got to get this guy before he pieces out.
So I really appreciate that. Obviously,
I'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'll joke with you guys up and down, but honestly, you bringing me on really means a lot, especially because like I feel like all the other guests have been actually people that have contributed in some spectacular way. I've just sort of hung out and fucked around.
Spectacular is a really long word.
Yeah, well, I've certainly really enjoyed what you've done so far. But yeah, so I've joked about this a bunch. That like I came in with selfish reasons, but obviously since then I've really come to enjoy talking with all the people that I've gotten to know. But yeah, it's just like I said, the people that have sort of like found this game and sort of like made it their thing, I have a lot of respect for, but also like I've never, that was never really going to be me. Especially once I found out how shit I was at this game. So yeah, no, I'm just, sort of cycling on to the next thing, I guess. I don't want to hold the position, at least a verifier, as vaunted as that is, or vaulted, whatever. A position as that is. I don't want to like hold on to it if I'm not ready to meet the requirements or whatever. So I'll probably step down from that. I'll talk to the team, talk to Teddy. I sort of already mentioned this to everybody, which is why I'm on right now and not dead last on the list. But no,
you were, but we did bump you up.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hey, no, come on, you were like in the middle. Let's be realistic here.
Who was at the bottom of the list? I guess it was.
That'll be a secret.
Well, it depends on your definition of bottom, really.
I actually have no idea what the answer to that question is.
But it's really funny because Teddy only asked me to come on to the team like around Christmas, and it feels like it's been a lot longer than that. So I guess it just goes to show like how much fun I was having with everybody. That sort of like took up a big portion of my life. But yeah, no, I mean, it means a lot. Y'all are great. I hope the game. I'm not like leaving the Discord. I'm probably just gonna step down from the verifier / mod team and just sort of like hang out a little bit, bit less.
What is next? What is next then? Since you said you're moving on. We're moving on.
It's actually really funny because I actually just got a new job this past like Monday. So that's sort of been what I've been working on that for a while. So I'm gonna be moving soon because of that. So I'm just sort of like a lot of things are changing. So I don't even know what's next.
Like real life stuff that matters as opposed to video games.
Unfortunately, games have been a big part of my life ever since I was real little. So there's always gonna be more games. Maybe there'll be more speedrunning communities. Hades will always hang out in my Discord and on my hard drive. So I do have one last run I need to do because before 1.0, like just in early access, I did 84 runs according to my save file. Well, I started a brand new one for 1.0. And I know 84 isn't a lot. Fuck you guys. I started a brand new file for 1.0 because I wanted to like experience like all the patches together like as they were meant to be. And when I like my last and that so when I stopped with that, it was 83 runs, just like completely like randomly. So I got to get one more run in and like do something special. Maybe I'll finally play Beowulf.
Oh my god. Don't make me watch that.
It's not gonna be a none of those were actual speed runs. I did all that on a max file. because I never fucking maxed my shit out.
Do the Zoo Shield max heat run.
See how far I get.
Really, yeah. Do the Zoo Shield route. Really go out with a bang and conquer max heat.
Badge can bless me.
No one has to know it was routed. You can just do it. And never tell anyone.
Just drop it and go.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, I will certainly still support the scene. If this community has enough staying power to still be at a GDQ when it becomes in person again, hopefully soon. I'd love to still go. This would be a perfect excuse to go and hopefully get to meet some of y'all.
Absolutely.
That'd be a hell of a lot of fun.
They don't pay for your plane ticket or anything, do they?
Do you fucking think I'm gonna be on the couch or whatever? No. I would like legitimately. This is the sort of thing that you either like put together like a little donation drive to get people to go, or like I'd pay someone's way. That it would mean enough to me to do that. Especially because y'all are like fucking streamers and shit. And you don't got piss for money.
We don't make money. That's right.
Yeah. True.
That's right. Cash is dry here. All right. Well, yeah, indeed.
So seriously, thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no problem.
So now that the touchy-feelies are out of the way, we can start shitting on some stuff.
No, we're not allowed to. Risk 13 got upset about it.
You're allowed to. It's just
we're gonna do this right. We're gonna do this right.
God. Okay, so for some context, I did get a little bit pissy earlier. Now,
justified.
Well, so this is one of my favorite shows, and one of the reasons it's one of my favorite shows is like really complicated and like weird. I guess I'll go into it real quick. So when it comes to shows, I am usually looking for a specific kind of like. There's something that usually gets me.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I don't think we haven't said what show it is yet. So do you want to like start with that?
Yeah. I guess we're going to get into it. But yeah, it's in the fucking title. They know what it is. It's on screen.
Will it be in the title? Yeah. Okay, I never looked at this.
Excuse me, but you're right. The show for the nerds who just leave Spotify on autoplay and find themselves here. The show is Kakegurui. It's available on Netflix. There are 2 seasons. Most of us watched the first season.
Or at least some of it. Sorry.
Or some of it. And it is one of my favorite shows. In anime, and what is it saying?
Just really quick to cut you off, I have to shout them out. Let's fucking go Syl, SYL, on YouTube, by the way, for being confirmed like the only, not only Spotify listener, but one of the only people that showed up for Hades and stayed for media. You fucking, you rule. We love you.
Yeah, that retention rate's like 2%, man. Like once you get to the last 30 minutes, it's like,
like when we say you are in the minority, you own. Let's fucking go.
Right, this is your patch of land. So this section is for you. And whoever else is here.
We're sorry.
I don't know why you're. Oh, also, Webs. Since you cut stream, it took the Discord window away, which meant that people got to see our stupid faces for a little while.
Oh, well, good thing I stopped that shit.
It's cool. It'll be live. It's there. Don't worry. They'll see it. We've been on a red-eyed Kuming Jabami Yumiko for the last 10-15 minutes or so. So
okay, thank God.
Anyway.
So please, I actually want to hear this.
So, the things that compel me are characters who are having a good time. When I watched My Hero Academia, the first season, All Might was like the only good character for me because he was having a blast the entire time. He's grinning, he's going nuts, he's super cool. Everyone knows it. Midoriya is like the worst main character in the world. I don't like him. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know. He's not the worst, but I wasn't compelled by him. Hellsing Ultimate for the same reason. I really love it.
Okay.
Hellsing Ultimate and Hellsing Ultimate Abridged. Both are great.
Yeah.
Watch them both. Because Alucard is just having a fucking blast, killing people, eating people. and
one of my friends and I will still to this day quote Hellsing Ultimate Abridged to each other. It's a regular affair.
So funny story. I've never seen Hellsing Ultimate. I have seen Hellsing Ultimate Abridged though, and
it's the same thing for Dragon Ball Z. I'm pretty sure I've seen
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I haven't seen Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
I've been told it's okay though.
Dude, have you seen Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Abridged?
Maybe.
You need to watch it.
It's so good.
I've seen actual Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Oh my god.
Go watch Abridged.
So it's made by two separate people, like Yu-Gi-Oh! And GX, right? But they do like crossover episodes, and it's the funniest shit. The Jaden versus Yugi rap battle, still plays in my head rent free.
Oh wait, is this the movie that you're talking
about?
No.
That is worth watching too.
But, which I've seen like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. I think there is just a standalone video, right, where they do like a rap battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just watch
it. So anyway,
we'll pick it up. Well, maybe we'll fucking watch it for one of the media sections.
Yeah.
Because like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dragon Ball Z Abridged or whatever, or Hellsing Ultimate Abridged, like those, like they're all quality. It's quality as fuck. But yeah, and even like real like non-anime TV shows, and these are really rare for me because like I don't know, American TV just doesn't do this. Like Hannibal is one of my favorite TV shows for that same reason, because Hannibal is just loving every moment of it, and he's just having fun.
I wonder why.
It's however, the other like all those shows like usually are like missing something, right? Like All Might isn't the main character.
Hannibal is the bad guy.
Well, Hannibal's the main character. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Or like there's some like other thing that's getting in the way, like the world is at stake or something like that. I hadn't really found anything that just sort of strips that all away and gives you like someone who's like enjoying something to the absolute fullest and just for that thing. Like there's no big like world-ending bullshit happening. There isn't even any like outside plot, and their motivations are super simple. And Kakegurui did that for me. There was a period of time in college where I was wondering, like, I went to college for English and philosophy, so obviously we did a lot of reading. One of the subjects that would come up was like, what is happiness mean to you? Like, what is that? And one of the conclusions that is generally drawn is that happiness is something that you can enjoy for itself. You know, it's not contingent on something else, like making money or anything like that. It's just something that you can enjoy for its own sake.
Anime titty,
exactly. And Kakegurui has a lot of anime titties, but it also is like a really, really strong representation of that, where Yumiko not only like enjoys gambling for its own sake, the show also contrasts her against other characters who gamble for other reasons, like things that we would do, right? Like for status or power or money, or just
because they want
revenge,
to die,
or because they're fucking perverts or stuff like that. And that was where the last episode, I guess we'll spoil it a little bit, I guess. In the last episode, one character like gets it, right? He's like I should just like enjoy this for its own sake. And for me that resonates a lot. Especially like as someone who plays something that's very chance based, right? Like Hades is like, you know, you're rolling the dice a lot, and it's really easy to like get upset by the results and shit. And like because before I ran Hades, that concept of like enjoying something for its own sake was like I could abstract it and be like, okay, well I can apply this to anything, right? Like, and this is like a good example of that. But now that I'm playing Hades, something that involves a lot of chance, it can sort of give me insight as to what kind of perspective is, and this is something that can probably apply to a lot of things, right? Like I grew up writing, and bless my parents, they were always saying like, you know, you got to think about getting published, right? Like try to get published, like make some money. And I was like, I don't want to pursue getting published, right? Like I just want to enjoy writing for its own sake, right? Like it's fun. I like it. But like that's something that we're sort of pushed to do. And to me, and Kakegurui like pushes on that very strongly for me. That's what I get out of it. That's why it's one of my favorite shows. Obviously, I'm leaving out, and it's on the screen. You can see it. Like Yumiko's cooming, and
it's kind of a horny show.
There's a lot of crazy, horny bitches doing crazy shit, and the show doesn't like suggest that this is not crazy. Like the show repeatedly states that this is insane. Like no one should do this, and if you do, you're crazy. But Yumiko is having the best time of anyone in the show, and it's for a very, very simple reason. She is not a complicated character, and I like that about it. So yeah, now you guys.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Rest. I'm not going to defend myself on the fact that I didn't finish the show. We talked a little bit about that before. I am sorry again, but I will say I feel like if I had heard that ahead of time, I would have actually respected it and actually finished it for that sake. I thought it was just like, hey, watch this fucking horny show and when we're going to laugh about it. That's kind of what I was going into this expecting. So I don't want to shit on something you really like. I didn't realize you liked it so much.
I mean, there are plenty of good reasons to shit on it, but I mean, yeah, well. I pushed past it or around it, but I didn't tell you because I wanted to see if you would pick it up for yourself. But
this is the problem with Risk 13 is he sets you up for failure.
What I will say is that at least like Meet You in the Middle is none of the complaints I had about the show touch on that aspect of it. Like Jibami being just a pure force of nature character where this is literally just all she's about. I have no complaints about that in particular. Watching a character like that can be really entertaining. I don't think the show made the show just didn't make the experience of watching that character as enjoyable as I would have liked. I think the most not just memeing shitty response I had to the show. Well, so let me actually take a step back. I was really happy to hear that we were going to cover an anime for this because I watch a fuck ton of anime. But I was really hoping that it would either A, be a show that I'd already seen because then I could really dig into it, or B, be a show I'd been on my watch list that I really wanted to get to because then I would have an excuse to actually sit down and watch it. I didn't want it to be a show that I knew about but didn't have an interest in watching because then I watch a lot of anime. I have a pretty experienced opinion of anime. So if I didn't want to watch something, I usually have a pretty informed reason for it. Kakegurui happened to fall in that camp. I still watched enough of it that I feel I had a good enough time. I didn't feel like the time was wasted. Definitely. The biggest problem I sort of had with it was maybe this. I don't know. I actually kind of want to get your guys' opinion on this because this might be almost like a sports anime sort of trope, I guess. But sort of this seemed kind of like a bit of a mystery show. Would you guys agree? Because sort of the Wrist is lowering his eyebrow, so he might disagree, but sort of the way I thought this show was going to be is the main character gambles with a bunch of people. She sort of faces a new one every time, and it always seemed to be what's the trick? You got to figure out everybody's cheating all the time, but the main character is going to figure out what it is and sort of turn the tables, and it's going to be a big over the top affair. And I sort of felt we were supposed to be able to cotton into that, but it never followed up with it. I don't know if that makes any sense. Anybody?
All right.
I think
talk.
I do think I can see where you're coming from, especially early on. It is sort of the first 2-3 episodes really do feel that's the formula that is being presented to you. But I do think they kind of deviate away from it early enough for it to later, that not necessarily be the big formula episodically.
I guess so. I think I was maybe just my expectations were a little off because at the end of the first episode, the main character. So like the first episode has sort of like the first gambling scene, which is actually really really funny. Like there were some genuine moments of the show that I enjoyed, and in the very first episode, there's literally a like Orpheus is fighting Neo moment where like the initial like villain character challenges the main character to a like a gambling match, and suddenly like someone else, some random like background character is like, yo, the new girl's like gambling with Mary, and like a fucking spotlight shines down on them and people like shut the curtains and shit. And I'm like, yo, it's on. Like I was into it. And so the main character beats her because she like sees through her cheat. And at the end of the episode, the sort of like audience surrogate character walks up to the main character and is like, yeah, Suzui. He's like, tell me how you saw through it. And I just like was immediately like, oh, this is a Sherlock show where like Suzui is Watson and just like needs the mystery explained to him by Sherlock to like tell, and like we the audience get to have this like, you know, peripetia, this like this reveal to us, and everything is turned on its head. The problem, and that was, so that's sort of how the show was sort of like framed to me, is that like there's this mystery that's sort of set up by like the game, and like everything is turned on its head at the end, and that's sort of like where the catharsis comes from. The problem is like we the audience are not clued in to like any of that. It's just like suddenly Jabami says like, oh, I noticed this, but it was like not something the audience could like ever have figured out. So we're just like, you know, this you may totally be on board with this, but you sort of just like watch this character just like do crazy things, and we're just like along for the ride, which like, yeah, that's a lot of people might be into that, but I sort of wasn't expecting that to be what the show would be about.
Yeah, it's definitely not it, even though it is a anime with gambling, it's not there to explore the subtleties and ins and outs of like gambling or gambling addiction or whatever. It's
right. No, it's a psychological battle anime.
Yeah,
like it's like a Death Note, like head to head outsmarty cat and mouse type of thing.
Sort of, but at the end of the day, even with like the first episode where it's like, yeah, she figured out she was cheating, but the reason why she won was because she got lucky, right? She's like, oh, I just guessed that this would be it. And we even get to see early in the episode that Mary could have won if she had thrown like the other card in her hand or something, which is like leaning very much in the fact that this is what Jabami is really what she's really all about, is that chance. As long as there's that chance, it doesn't matter if there's cheating or not, which is why she gets so angry at the eye patch horny crazy murdery girl.
Yeah, no, she says very explicitly like, unless actually it's really funny because she's like, unless both people are at risk, it doesn't mean anything to her. She's also like I don't think and this is actually sort of what I wanted Risk to answer for me. Like I don't want this to be like too leading a question, but like, did she ever actually like suffer consequences for like losing, or like is she ever like disadvantaged in any way over the course of the show, or like later in the show?
I mean, sometimes she gets a little too horny, but that's about it.
Like, she gets, at least in the first season, can't speak for the second season, clarity for the audience, we only watched the first season, so that's the only, at least I myself only have context for the first season. And she gets like punished adjacent because she goes into debt, but like that doesn't actually matter because apparently she just has like a bottomless savings pool and like is turbo rich and could pay off the debt whenever, but she just chooses not to. Like punished adjacent, I guess.
I don't think that necessarily matters in like in the same way that like this is something that anime does a lot, right? There are a lot of shows where it's like, okay, this is your main character. We're not going to fuck around. Like, this is the main character, and they're going to win. Or I just flat out, like, you know, kind of like what One Punch Man did with its character. And it's just like, okay, this character is, like, really strong. And they're not going to lose. It's just where it is. So that's not, like, for me anyway, that's not where the tension is. Or or for anything, like Genos might lose, right? Genos might get his ass kicked. But One Punch Man.
We care about Bicycle Man. What's his name?
Moomin Rider or whatever.
Yeah, Moomin Rider. Yeah, we care about him. We don't want him to die. Yeah, so I'm actually glad you brought up tension, because like where do you find the tension in this show? Because like if you know Jemimi's gonna win, is it just like sort of enjoying the ride? Like is it just sort of like that like thriller element of like just like I want to see what happens next, like moment to moment type thing?
I like the way people there are a lot of similarities between Kakegurui and One Punch Man. One Punch Man, it almost never gets old watching people being like, oh, holy shit. Like One Punch Man won or whatever. And in any case, like actually I'll back up, because I do think there's some tension in the show, just because the characters are super intense in like everything they do.
That's a word for it.
I love the anime. This is another thing that I loved about One Punch Man that Kakegurui does also, which is like animation shifts, where like in One Punch Man, when Saitama is like just being his regular, when he gets serious, his animation becomes super serious as well, which I really love.
Don't tell me you like the fucking Gesu Gao faces, the crazy horny. Wild.
I mean, they're not always horny. Like sometimes it's just
sometimes
hey, I'm right here.
Gonk. They're just fucking gonk faces.
Right? Yeah. I think it's cool. I mean, obviously,
that was a really big turn off for me.
That's fair enough, I guess.
I literally looked up the term Gesu Gao just basically means like that sort of like evil look. I don't know exactly what picture you're gonna use, wrist for the screen, but that look that's Gesu Gao or whatever.
Okay,
but I looked up the word to make sure I was actually getting it right, and literally what like the first like line of Google images was like a bunch of fan art of like characters making that face, and then actual pages from the Kakegurui manga. And I was like, okay, I think I have the right. I'm in the right place.
Can I touch on the art style real quick, because that's where I have the most to talk about. So, listeners, I definitely watched this show in the past. However, it's been a busy week for you, boy. But from what I can recall, what really drew me to this show was very expressive animation and art style, because that's big for me.
Yeah. No, the style of this show is really, really good.
Yeah. It has some of the most expressive like facial animation on characters that I've ever seen. And I think if you like sick looking art styles and very dramatic animation shifts like that, it's a must watch, whether you like the story or not. Speaking on the story, I do appreciate its very simple nature. I will move on now.
I will say they are very expressive faces, but for me as a viewer, it's to an uncomfortable point. Like 90% of the facial expressions in the show made me deeply uncomfortable. Like there is such a thing as too much expression.
Did you enjoy in episode 2 when I don't remember who it is, because I only made a note of this, but I don't know what character it is, but she's literally like spitting in her face.
No.
There are some good ugly cries in the show. Okay.
Oh, like, I'm remembering an ugly cry, but it's not the crying part of it I'm remembering. I definitely remember an ugly cry, but it's not the crying I'm remembering.
Okay, I mean there are a lot, so.
You could also make the not to. I'm gonna let you finish, but
yeah, no, you're fine.
You could also make the argument that like, I mean, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure does the same shit, doesn't it?
He doesn't like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I'm anti-JoJo.
Okay, moving on.
I never watched JoJo's.
Abort. My bad.
Yeah, like I don't know. I have very mixed feelings on the show. I feel like the first season and the first half of it started off actually pretty strong and pretty interesting. I think the deeper they got into the student council stuff, the less interested I got. And especially when the pacing felt kind of weird to me, because a lot, like some of the student council events ended up being 2-parters. And I get like there's a lot of stuff going on with them, but at the same time, when it's like your episodic structure for the first half is like characters get introduced to this character who's doing a gambling thing. They gamble, character either wins or loses. These are the consequences next episode, right? There's one big gamble going on per episode. And then it starts with Gun Bitch, who is by and large my least favorite character just in the entire show.
You don't like eye horror of watching someone stab out their own eye?
Didn't like that. She's the most egregious for uncomfortable faces. And just I thought her character was like kind of dumb. They're like I did think it was interesting when she got like Uno carded by her main character by intentionally losing. Because the thrill for Gun Bitch was the chance to die, not necessarily the gamble itself. I did think that was pretty interesting, but I don't know, her just as a character, and then it's probably because she cooms the most, and like I think there are ways
really like
to show. I think there are ways to show people having a great time. I just don't think cooming has to be the one you go to.
Yeah, I'm not as big. Like, if I really take a step back and like not just meme about the show, like there are worse things. Maybe not worse. I don't know. There are at least equatable things I have forgiven of other shows that I feel like only like focusing on that for this show, I feel like is maybe just like low hanging fruit almost. There was a really interesting thing I sort of like a comparison I made in my head, and I'm kind of curious what Riz thinks about it, because I think you might be the only person who's seen the show. But have you seen Bakemonogatari, or any of the other guys seen that one? I figured you had, because it's like the flagship.
Because I've also
Nisio
watched Katanagatari.
Yeah, if you've seen Katanagatari, you've probably seen Bakemonogatari.
Because they're very high.
Yeah. So for you other guys, the very, very beginning of that show, like literally the very first shot is a like 7 second. I don't remember how long it is. I didn't look it up, but it's a panty shot. It's one of the main characters. A gust of wind blows her skirt up, and it's the other main character like seeing her panties, and it goes on for like not a split second. It's like at least like 10 seconds long or something. 7 seconds, I think, is the thing. Yeah, it's and like there's a reason for it, and it actually like has impact on the story and yada yada yada. It's not super important, but I've read multiple times just over the years that like people hear about this show as like this huge monolith in the anime like sphere, and that's sort of like their introduction to the show, and it sort of like turns them off because like they might not be inoculated to that sort of like just anime-ism or whatever, and that's fine. And the comparison I drew is in this show, like one of the very first shots is of like characters gambling, and it sort of opens up with Mary, who's like the initial antagonist and kind of becomes like a side protagonist throughout the show. She like flashes one of those like crazy wild faces like right away, and it's sort of like I sort of kind of appreciate in a way that it kind of tells you up front like, hey, you into this shit, then you're about to have a great fucking time. And like there's a lot to be said for that, and like I legitimately think that if you either can see past it for like the other really good things about the show, or you just like are into that or enjoy that, then yeah, fucking you're gonna have a blast with this shit. You've probably already seen this show, honestly, because there's not a lot of ways for you to get this if you want it. Watch Mirror Tights.
It's funny when I mentioned the show to you, you actually basically gave me that, right? You're like, oh, that's the show with the faces and stuff, right? I'm like, yeah.
But there's more. Yeah, you're like, but there's more, and I'm like, okay, fair. I'll check it out.
See my opening.
Yeah, of course.
Paragraph / page / essay on like why I really enjoy the show, and it's like it's not even necessarily that you have to move past it. Like for me, like it's like a good part of it, right? Like this show wouldn't sell its craziness. And the show knows it's crazy without those like over the top poses, over the top faces, all that stuff.
I don't think you're in the camp of having to forgive the show for that, or liking the show in spite of that. I think you're one of the people that like the show because of it.
I was in the same boat as you, right? Like when I first saw it, or when I didn't see it, when I first heard about it, I was like like this show looks really try hard. Like it's just like
it's
just
kind of
like
edgy.
it seems like it's like
edgy.
just riding on like that was what the show was for me. Like the crazy face show. Like, oh, this show looks like it's just kind of dumb, hollow schlocky bullshit or whatever. And then I moved on. And then the second season came out like a couple years ago, or a couple years later. And I watched it with my buddy. I was like, oh, this show is actually like kind of good. And I watched the first season, like, oh shit, like I really like I can get it, right? It's like, God, I'm gonna make the fucking nerdiest literature geek.
Lay it on us.
So there's a book called House of Leaves.
Oh my God!
And if you've heard of House of Leaves, you've heard of it as the book where it's just like, oh, there uses a bunch of crazy fonts and it messes with the like novel format and shit, and like it's known by its gimmick. But if you read it, it's actually really good. And the gimmick works. Like it's part of it.
I want you guys to know, slowly over the course of this conversation, Webbs and Satan have just slowly sunk down in their chairs.
Oh, God.
I think we've exhausted.
Are we done?
Yeah.
I can't help being the most well-read person in the room.
Oh my God!
I know. I haven't read House of Leaves, but I know about it.
That's why I said that.
We'll see. And I don't want to pretend like I have, like I actually went back and I read the which I usually do anyway, so this isn't like anything crazy. But I went back and I read the discussion thread. I went back and found the discussion threads for the show as it was airing, and it was full of people that were like, "Yeah, I'm into this shit. Like, yeah, that was a lot of fun." So like, I'm not surprised if people can enjoy the show.
Look, man, you either like it or you don't. You know, I think it's a very clear cut. You like this show, or you fucking hate this show. There's no middle ground.
Do you guys have anything else you want to say about it?
Nah, that's it. We can.
I will bring up my favorite moment in the show, which is in episode 4, which is I think the introduction of Crazy Gun Bitch. She's in the bathroom, and she's like going nuts, and she's like getting off on just playing Russian roulette with herself, and she's touching herself. And this random background girl opens up the door, hears her screaming, and just has like the most like disturbed look on her face, and turns around and shuts the door and leaves. I cackled. That was the best shit. I'm like, that's the real person in this show. That's like doesn't want to deal with any of this.
I will say, if I had to pick a favorite moment, I think it would be it was actually a pretty cool gotcha with I forget if it was 4 or 5. It was the episode with like the gambling forgiveness party for all the housewives,
that was
right? Where they
that was 4.
Where they switched their chips.
Where they had switched the plates
the panels
so that way like the perceived value of the chips was completely warped, and I thought that was actually like a really cool moment. And that whole scene and that whole like gambling game was also probably like one of the more interesting ones.
That was really cool. I think if I was actually like paying, I don't want to say paying attention, but like really like trying to figure out the show. Oh, what's up, Webbs?
Hey, I want to start doing number scores after this tangent.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we're coming close to time. Just didn't want to rush off.
It's good.
Thanks. I think if I was like paying attention, like actually trying to like figure out the show, I would have keyed in on the fact that they were like so specific about the way the rules worked that I was like, there's got to be a loophole that they're gonna find there, because it's like, oh, you have these number of chips, and like the way you bet is like based on the number of chips, not the value of them, because like we figure out the value later, and I'm like, that's a really weird way to play poker. But okay.
You were going into this show too big brain. You need to think small brain.
I mean,
yeah, as I said, the show is very simple. It's like the animation is great, the music's great, but it as you said, it sort of front loads it with, hey, this is a gambling anime, like use like big brain and like Yumiko's smart, but the show isn't like trying to blow you out of the water with how like big brain 5D chess intelligent it is or whatever.
Yeah, I guess that was just an expectations thing then.
For me, but before we go to the number score, I guess I'll answer the question. My favorite moment was in the end when Suzui has to draw the future. There's a big tarot card game between Yumiko and the president, if you ever end up watching it. And what's really cool for me is that Suzui is like he's the guy version of that girl who opens up the bathroom door and hears the bullshit happening and then like nopes out, because he's always like he's very normal, like he's a regular guy, like he gets nervous.
Just a dude.
And he doesn't take a lot of risks either. Like he's not that sort of person.
He's at the wrong fucking school for that then,
exactly.
Dude.
But in the final episode, when the stakes are really high and when he has the opportunity to like take less of a chance or to like gamble on something that might be considered a sure thing, he's like, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to take this card that's been marked clearly for me to flip over. I'm just going to choose at random.
See, he goes from being that dude to that dude.
But it's a really cool moment. It's a really cool moment.
He was already sipping for the idol earlier in the season, but yeah.
Well, the entire school is, to be fair.
Yeah. All right, Wrist. Yeah. Start us off with your score so we can disappoint you.
That's okay. I already expected to be disappointed. That's why I'm okay with it. For the first season, probably give it a 9.5. There on rewatch, there are like some parts that are maybe a little bit slow, and some of the gambles are still like a little confusing. You have to be really paying attention to like the rules in order to wrap your head around what's going on.
That definitely happened to me a couple times.
And you're like, wait, what are the rules? How does this work? Some of them are really simple, like choice poker. Some of them are like really like weird and like kind of backwards, like the game that Eye Patch Girl sets up or whatever.
So if you like gambling, the show is a 9.5. If you don't like gambling,
I mean, it's not really. This isn't really like a gambling or not.
I know. I was just memeing. I was just memeing about the multiple scores thing. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's for me. I think it's a really good It's like, as best as I have been able to find, like one of the best representations of like a very pure, simple example of that character who really enjoys like themselves. In every sense of the word.
That's all right. That description's 10 out of 10 right there.
There are many layers to that description, and
there's two.
It is a sexy
two layers.
show.
There's only 2 layers.
It is a sexy show. It is over the top and crazy and fucking bullshit, but I think it also has like a generally like optimistic and good takeaway for you if you're willing to dig for it.
All right, cool.
I think it's right there. Yeah.
Right on. So I'll go next because I have a feeling my rating might be a little higher than the other two. So I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10, even though numbers don't mean shit. But what I really did like about the show was I like art and I like animation. I'm a very simple man.
And you like anime titties.
True. And I like Kuman. So for those things, I enjoyed it a lot, and I enjoyed the just like fucking wackiness of it and the simplicity. But if you don't like those kind of things, you're not gonna like the show, so I wouldn't recommend it.
My numbers do mean something. And I do try to hold a fairly consistent scale. With 1 being the worst thing I've ever seen, 10 being one of the best things, if not the best thing I've ever seen, and 5 being bang on average. I understand Risk's enjoyment of the show, and I understand Webbs' enjoyment of the show, and I do have positive things to say about the show, despite Risk's enjoyment not really being something that did it for me, and neither did Webbs's. And like I'm also Mr. Enjoy stupid things for being stupid fun, right? Like I banged on that a lot with John Wick, and I banged on that a lot with Baby Driver. But at the same time, I don't know. I have a personal limit for some things in anime, right? And I do think that there is such a thing as too much horny, right? I do live in a personal world where there can be too much coom for me and my own personal enjoyment of a thing, right? And I think the show aggravated
of my score.
tolerance for things like that,
shifted.
which
I have
decreased
sort of
my
like,
enjoyment as a viewer personally.
Game review,
but like I'm not gonna call it a
website
terrible
scores
show,
where
right?
they're shifted like really high because usually if I don't like a show, like actually I just won't finish it, so I usually don't give it a score.
I'll give it
for something like this.
A very
but
personal,
most of the time when I'm
like,
scoring something, I just compare it to other shit I've seen, like already scored.
Because it's
sort of
just that little bit. There are those cool moments that push that little bit past bang on average. It's not dog shit terrible. I'd be lying to you if I said it was. But it's also
certainly not the worst thing I've ever seen. Personally, man, we I don't want to damn it with faint praise though. There, huh? As we talked about,
I got there.
Everything that we could say about it has basically already been said. If you're really into this type of thing, you probably already know about it.
You give Guardian, just cut it in half because you want to see half the
just
show.
wasn't really for me. I found enough about the show to not feel like my time was wasted in watching what I did. And I definitely would have watched the whole thing if I actually understood the connections that were in play. But for the most part, yeah, it was all right. I disagree with there being such a thing as too much horny. Webs are saying you need to watch interspecies reviewers and then get back to us. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Anyway, yeah. So about 5.5. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to watch the show with y'all. That's way different. That's a whole other conversation. That is not horny.
True.
That is not horny though. That is not like a scale of horniness that show is on.
Interspecies reviewers. It's unironically good.
All right.
And funny.
Wrist outro, please.
Foggies, we got there, gamers.
I feel attacked, and I really quickly need to point out that Webb's 2D at the very least agrees with me that there is a world where there is too much horny. Webbs, what is the thing that we have agreed on when it comes to redo of Healer that would make the show a lot better?
Okay, that's way too much horny.
So you concede.
No. You said too much horny. This is way too much horny.
So if there is way too much horny, that concedes that there is too much horny.
And our suffering.
No. 3 words, 2 words.
Right.
It's different.
But they cannot exist without each other. There cannot be a way too horny without a too horny line.
Oh, Get us out of here.
Okay, listen. I thought I was a philosophy nerd, but this is the exact kind of stuff that you would hear in like philosophy classrooms, where someone just drops like the most extreme example of something. It's like, you don't agree with this, you can agree with that. Ah, gotcha. That's your hypothetical for you, bitch. Say, have you considered doing philosophy?
How can
you'd be good at it?
How can way too much of something exist without the baseline control of too much of it?
Way much horny. To just remove a word, I don't know.
Exactly, but how on the scale can here exist if here also exists?
Here doesn't exist.
Move on. How can we be here if not for past the base of here?
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Unfortunately, the nightmare is never over. For us, Guardian's nightmare will end very soon. That sounded way more ominous than I intended for it to be. But unfortunately, yeah. Join us next time for our next nightmare with Ghosty ?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Ghosty boy.
Have we actually reached out? Shut up.
Yeah.
Have we actually reached out to him?
Yeah, I've done it.
Okay. We have reached out to Ghosty, and Ghosty has not ghosted us. They are very much coming on. So yeah. Look forward to that in 2 weeks. Satan, it was your choice for the media section. So what are we watching?
We're gonna go in a completely different direction.
Watch Kakegurui season 2.
Silly, silly, funny, and we're gonna watch I will. Steins Gate is the show we're gonna watch. It's 24 episodes. Give everyone the preface that it is a slow boil to start, but I think it's a fantastic payoff. And it is. I haven't rewatched it in a while, but last time on rewatch, it was a 9.5 for me. So I'm interested to see if that changes going into like third or fourth viewing. Show is kind of a banger
as well. It's been a while though, so I'll be interested. Hopefully, it won't be one of those things where I went back and watched Brotherhood, or tried to watch Brotherhood. It was still good, but in my mind before trying to rewatch it, it was like S tier. But watching it, I was like, this is like A tier anime. Like this is good, but it's not like holy shit. Like you must watch this or else.
Well, I can't wait to hear you guys talk about it. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, thanks very much again for having me on. It means a lot. I'll catch you guys around, and everyone else too.
Kick it.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.